Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Trimco 1257M in a 626 finish. A heavy-duty door stop and holder is what it is. Here's what it looks like in terms of its box. This client ordered two, so there were two headed to the client. This is a substantial piece of equipment. Every time, it seems every time I pull a Trimco item out of the packaging, I'm always very impressed, and this is absolutely in line with that level of being impressed. I mean, you can see how large this item is just in relationship to my hand. Okay, the 1257M. This is going to be a combination door stop and holder. It is a unit that is going to be able to permit a very robust amount of action on the door that's pushing the door open. This has a substantial spring-loaded plunger that's here. It has the hook, it has the staple that will go onto the door, and it has all of its anchors. So let me remove this from the packaging and let's take a closer look at it. While I'm doing that, this is available in lots of different finishes. Rather than list them all, your brass, your bronze, your chrome, your satin polished, oil rubbed bronze. Trimco will certainly make this available to us in that size, or pardon me, in those finishes that you need. This is, it's just a big piece of equipment. Weighs 2.33 pounds. At least it does with its screw package and the staple or the holder that will mount to the door itself. Made of solid brass. Not every piece on here is not brass. That spring inside of there won't be. This will be certainly something that you can consider automatic in that sort of sense. So it's going to operate like that. But if you continue to push, it will lift this piece up and gravity will bring it back down. But what will happen is the plunger is going to compress. And I can get that all the way, practically all the way compressed. I'll tell you, it's quite a challenge to get it brought that far down. Okay, a couple of snake eyes that are down here, and certainly if you've got the right tool, that will permit you to adjust how much tension is on that. So this is going to act in, think of a school. I'm guilty of abusing those doors as a child. I admit it, and I've atoned for my ways. I'm going to take that door and I'm going to forcibly push it. Well, the plunger is going to catch it. It's going to hopefully retard the movement of the door. This will allow you to automatically hold the door open. Should you want to operate the door correctly, you can move the door to the open position, continue to push until the plunger basically, you know that you've stopped. The hook will come down, rest into the staple or the door portion. Okay. Now, what's really important to note is that this is, of course, expressly prohibited for use on fire-rated doors. This will not be something appropriate for a fire-rated door whatsoever because it's a manual holder. Fire-rated doors must be self-closing and self-latching and free-swinging by all means of activation. So there's no way to automatically release this door. That's what would prohibit it from use on fire-rated doors. So according to Trimco, the 1257M is a heavy-duty cast brass or bronze. And whether it be made of bronze or brass, or the amalgamation of metals to be termed brass or bronze, is dependent on the finish. 626 is the most durable of all artificial finishes, but 626 specifically means that the base material is brass. If you were doing bronze, satin bronze, like a 612 finish or a 613 finish, oil rubbed bronze or a 611 finish, I believe that's polished bronze, very beautiful. It's going to be a bronze-based material is what you're going to end up getting. Lots of different finishes. If you want them in antique nickel, Trimco, I'm sure, will happily entertain a quote for that. As you can tell, you've got this huge lead anchor that's down here. So what happens here is this piece of threaded rod that's down in the base. Okay. Yeah, I can get that separated. So what will happen is you're going to drill this hole for this large lead anchor. And if you've ever used a lead anchor, you'll know that you need practically a stick of dynamite to get it out of the floor once you get it in place. Your drill size is going to be pretty huge for this. And it's going to go in this way, by the way. It was installed this way. That's the wrong way. You're going to use a 7/8 drill bit for this. Okay, and this is called a wedge anchor. This is made of lead. When you buy a box of wedge anchors, they will generally come with a setting tool. It's basically a piece of round metal with a little dimple or a post coming out of it. And after you drill your hole, you will place this into the hole. Your setting tool will then come and you'll literally bam, 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 bring it down so that it's in the hole without forcing. I don't think I can pull that one apart, but this is 2 pieces. You don't want to drive that up at all because that's what this threaded rod's going to do. When you get that threaded all the way into the base of the hardware, this is set, and then you're literally going to bring this and you're going to turn. You're going to continue to turn and turn and turn until you get to the concrete, and then it's going to start to draw that lead anchor up, and then it's lights out. You're going to be firmly secured. Now, before you do any of that, there's another hole in the back, and that's going to be for the smaller lead anchor and its machine screw that's there. That one is probably 7/16 drill size. Half inch. Half inch would be your drill size on that. You know, your depth on the small one, 1 inch. Your depth on the longer one is for sure, just to get the anchor in, is for sure going to be 1 3/4 inches. Then the other 2 smaller screws will be for you to drill and tap those holes into a properly reinforced metal door is obviously what they're planning on. You might sex bolt that through the door. We can certainly help you with that. Just 1/4 20 bolts, and we can get you a couple of sex bolts to bring that firmly through the door, whether it be fiberglass or steel. Certainly wood. Reach out to us. We'll help you with through bolts or sex bolts, or the industry term for this. So that door, you can physically come up to it, you know, forcibly push it to the point where it's going to latch for you. You keep pushing. The leading edge is going to simply go into the unit, and then eventually you're just going to stop and latch. Unlatching it is obviously going to be, of course, reaching down and lifting that up is the concept there. Now let's take some dimensions. 3 1/4 by 1 3/4 is the base. They're saying 3 1/4, yeah, 3 1/2. I'll hold it upside down for the height. Oh, pardon me, 1 3/4 base diameter. Kind of gauge that there. It's going to be closer to 1 7/8. I've got a height of 2 3/4. Now I'll hold it upside down. Overall height of the body is about 3 7/8. Now that 2 3/4 is where that center line, really, of your hold open portion is going to come into play. 2 3/4 from here to here. That'll give you an idea of what sort of undercut you can accomplish with this. Obviously, you're going to be down in this space. 1 1/2 undercut would certainly work. Not that you would ever have that type of undercut, but what you'll have is a scenario when you've got a pair of doors. And let's say that the doors are closed and you've got a threshold, weather stripping, the whole 9 yards. Well, that gap should be typical. 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, something like that. Well, when you open those doors up and out, hopefully the concrete, you know, is sloped away from the opening towards the drain. And that's when you get the door to the open position. Well, now you've got some distance below the bottom of the door to the concrete pad. That's where the taller height comes in. There is a link below this video to a document called Template. That will allow you to review all of the dimensional properties of the 1257M and the much higher version that has that riser that's there. And that riser is going to be appropriate for those installations where you literally have a much more substantial undercut. And you could. A funeral home is going to have a pair of really wide doors, 4-foot doors on the back. Well, you swing those out and open, and yeah, you could be dealing with 3 inch or more. So you need a big piece of equipment, a tall piece of door holder, let's say, to get those doors open and out. And I say, you know, I've seen that application at a funeral home, which is why I mention it. The rest of the dimensions are there. Let's take the dimensions of the door portion. They've got it at 2 inch wide. Okay. Overall, about 1 3/4 inches. 1/2-inch threaded rod, drill a 7/8 hole. That's what we determined here. For what they call an expansion shield. It's a lead anchor. For the 1/4 20, drill a 1/2-inch hole. That's for your backside hole. For the strike, 2 1/4 20 by 5/8 machine screws for metal doors. Those are included. For wood doors, they indicate to use a number 14 flathead sheet metal screw for a wood door. I wouldn't even remotely consider not through bolting this through a wood door. That wouldn't even be a thought. You're going to through bolt that mandatorily through a steel door, or you're definitely going to have a door reinforced. At that point, sure, you'd probably use your sheet metal screw, a number 14, one size bigger than a hinge screw. You know, what I'll do is I will add an attribute to all of these items where we're going to have you select, by the time you see this video, whether it's a wood door or a steel door, so that the proper bolt package can be included for the door portion. No reason to send this. You know, these are going to someone who I don't know if they have a wood door or a steel door. It was not specified at the time of order, but we sure don't want to have you go out and get a couple of number 14 screws and then throw away a couple of machine screws. And actually, I'll add an attribute for sex bolts as well for the door portion. There's a link to a document called Product Maintenance. That's just a generic blanket statement from the manufacturer in terms of how to maintain their finishes. And then there's a product brochure, and that is right out of the manufacturer's catalog, where you can review several pages of door stops and holders from the manufacturer. And you'll certainly find the 1257M that's there, and other products that go along with it. Looking at that page, it's all pretty common, especially nowadays. Everything on page 1, the big rubber heavy-duty stop with the threaded rod, 5/8 most likely, that you set into a drilled hole with mortar that's been packed into place. Dome stops, universal stops, angle stops, door stops, and holders. Everything from Trimco here is very common material. I'm just scrolling through the pages. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Trimco products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Now, I'm incredibly partial to Trimco, and I always seek out those opportunities to do as much Trimco business as I can. And why? Well, they're a manufacturer, and that means that they make stuff to order, and that means that it takes time to get their product, and that is the bottom line. They do an excellent job at shipping it as quickly as possible, but this company is a manufacturer. They make high-end trim and auxiliary hardware. When it comes to trim and auxiliary hardware, there are those boutique manufacturers that make ultra luxury or high-end trim and auxiliary. But if you're looking for exceptional quality of trim and auxiliary, if you're doing a public project like a city hall or a public library, the name Trimco should be synonymous with that application, because I've reviewed dozens of their products. I've taken them out of the packaging, then I've videoed that experience of seeing it for the first time, recording my visceral reaction to the quality of the product, and this is no different. They make a robust set of equipment. They're not going to be the least expensive at all. That's not what they're into. But I will argue that it will be the most robust that you can get your hands on in practically every instance. They are a manufacturer again, so there is a lead time. Simply plan ahead. If you're looking for a couple of roller latches to ship now, they may not be the best option because of a factory minimum and lead time, etc. Not that they're not trying to satisfy that immediate requirement, but Trimco is really best suited when you have a project that calls or allows them to leverage their incredibly high quality of fit and finish. I've done units from them where we've got several push bars on a door, and you can still smell the brass polish that they use to make that look perfect by the time it was sent. You can tell the material is manufactured by hand in much of the instances, so I am partial to them. And they make an honest, vigorous effort to assist you with the order. Any questions on the 1257M heavy-duty door stop and holder or any other Trimco product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.